My name is Aimée Llewellyn-Zaidi, and I'm the head of health and research here at the Kennel Club. And part of my job here at the Kennel Club is to help advise dog breeders on making good, healthy choices for selecting which dogs to choose to breed from. So today we're going to talk a little bit about selection from a geneticist point of view and give you some idea about what selection means and how you can use it to make positive changes to animals and perhaps to people too. Right. So just to get started, how did there get to be so many different kinds of dogs in the world? If they all started out from wolves and from wild dogs, how did we get so much variety? How did we get Chihuahuas all the way to Great Danes? So selection, when it comes to animal breeding, in its most simple form means that there are people involved who are choosing which animals are used for breeding and which animals are not used for breeding. If we think about it from a food production point of view, different farmers would choose different kinds of cows to make the best milk as compared to different kinds of cows that make the best meat. So it's that selection that makes those differences and those positive characteristics that we're looking for from a food point of view. When it comes to dog breeding, it's a little bit different because our goals are probably to have a dog that is very friendly and maybe has a particular job or a particular function. Maybe it's a particular size. So we tend to have different kinds of criteria for the different purposes that an animal is bred from. Going back to dog breeding, people have for hundreds and in some cases thousands of years been using selection to choose dogs that have specific jobs. That's where all of these different dog breeds started from, were different jobs and different functions. And this is how we have all this different kind of variety, not just in their jobs, but also in how they look. And there's oftentimes links between what you look like and how well you perform your job. So you could have dogs that are short or tall or fluffy or cuddly or sporty, all different kinds of variety, each one having a particular purpose that helps them do their job. It's not just in how they look, of course, but also in how they behave. So dog breeders begin to notice really early on that if you choose two dogs that are best at a particular job, their puppies are also really likely to be good at that job. And there's puppies are more likely to be more similar to their parents. That's not really a big surprise, I'm sure. They notice that those dogs that are more likely to be related to each other also have ancestors in common. And it's that beginning of an understanding of how selection changes and influences the way that dogs perform and behave that help develop very early breeding and genetic selection. And through this careful selection, dog breeders were able to develop very distinctive different kinds of breeds, and those breeds, for the most part, look very similar to each other and behave in similar ways. Selection didn't just help dog breeders make all the different dog breeds in the past, it also is a really useful tool today to help humans improve dog health and reduce risk for diseases. So as dog breeders were selecting for some of those positive characteristics, they noticed that they could also select away from negative characteristics. And there's some really great tools that have come along very recently in the form of something called a DNA test, which dog breeders can use to help choose the healthiest and the lowest risk dogs to use for breeding. So they can use that piece of information, that selection criteria, to help make a balanced decision about which dog to use based on their health and also perhaps on their personality and how well they perform their particular job. So a responsible dog breeder will think about lots of different positive and negative points of the dogs they're thinking of breeding from. They need to think about those characteristics and balance with each other. They will have their own selection criteria, their own goals that they want to meet to improve on a dog or maybe improve on the breed as a whole. They will think about the dog's physical health, their personality, some of their other health risks, and if they're a nice example of the type of dog or a good example of the breed. Once a responsible dog breeder has considered all these different points, all these different selection criteria, they can choose the best pair of dogs to meet their goals. And it's through this selection that we're able to make positive changes and improvements in not only dog breeding, but in lots of other animal welfare and husbandry as well.